Welcome, everyone, to my class called How to Effectively Scale Your Business. I am very excited to present this today. And for anyone joining in with us, please utilize the follow along kind of workbook style tool that I've placed a link to here in the comments. Open it up, kind of walks you through everything I'm going to talk to you, gives you a place to take some notes. It's going to be it's going to be a really helpful tool for you. So please go ahead and utilize that. Just to introduce myself, guys, before we get started, I'm Catherine McCord. I run a recruiting and staffing company called Titan Management that opened in 2014. Very happy to say that we've continued to grow even through COVID. I also recently developed a proprietary technology that is HR based that is going to be presented in Web Summit, and the largest technical convention in the world later this year in Lisbon, Portugal. Very excited about that. And I also am the host of Career Launch Live. So you can find me in kind of any of those ways. Reach out, check out the sites, check out the show. That's a great way to kind of get to know me. I also do a lot of work in education and speaking engagements to help small business owners learn how to effectively grow. It's kind of a passion of mine because even before I started my own businesses, I helped other entrepreneurs grow their own. And so it's something that I really, really enjoy. So to start off with today, we're going to talk about scaling up and what that is, taking your business from solopreneur to entrepreneur, or taking your small business that maybe has just a few employees and really scaling it up and making it boom, right? Which is super exciting. We're going to start today talking about employer branding. This is really important, guys. A lot of people don't realize that in order to effectively grow your brand, you have to start way before you ever go to market, but even more importantly, before you ever start to hire. People are educated these days, okay? This is very important to keep in mind. People know to research, people know how to research, and they will look you up. So let's talk about some of the important ways to address this. Number one, your website. Guys, it's more than just a sales tool. I know, you're all about getting money in the door. That's super important, but there's more to it than that. Okay, you want to have a great reputation, and you also want to let potential employees know who you really are on your website. So talk about your why. Why do you have this business? Talk about your differentiators, not in the sales pitchy way, but just really educate about those things. On your social media, post more than just sales pitches, guys. First of all, it's more effective with your client base, in case you didn't know that, but it's also far more effective with your candidate base. So post about charities that you're involved in as a company. Post about some interesting innovations that you have going on. Post about something fascinating in your community and how you helped out with it or how you want to help out with it. These things will really help connect people to you. Again, not just clients, but your candidates. It's very important to have these types of things established because people will look you up. LinkedIn, Facebook, all of that. It's also highly important not to get political and not to get negative. Now, I've heard some people say, well, but I want to be who I am, and if people are going to work for me, they need to be just like me. That is the silliest thing I've ever heard in my whole life. I want to tell you guys, it really, really is. It's silly. Here's why. Let's say you have the best employee in the world, okay? In fact, two of the greatest employees I've ever known were my husband and myself, okay? Both of us are strong, innovative, drive production. You don't want two of us. You don't want more than one of us. Trust me on this, okay? You want a variety. You don't want just that. You need people that are creative versus logical. You need people that are innovative, and you also need people who are the churn and burns, right? Who are going to sit there and do that data entry stuff all day long. You need people who have all different kinds of backgrounds and all that, because your client base is more than just one personality. Even if you tend to have a certain type of customer, you're still going to have a very broad candidate base in terms of beliefs, in terms of backgrounds, in terms of basic personality. So it's really important to hire accordingly, okay? So make sure that you're not just imposing yourself on everything, but that you're just guiding with your general direction, right? If you want a little bit more information on that, you can reach out to me directly. But basically, the rules are this: be positive, be informative, be interesting. Okay? So that's kind of how we rotate it. And kind of a ratio I got from Craig Fisher, who is a phenomenal entrepreneur and speaker, also in the talent acquisition space in the Dallas, Texas area, is that he always says there's a 5-to-1 give ratio on your postings. Okay. So for every 5 times that you give, you can ask once. So that means post 5 interesting, informative, positive type things, and then post 1 sales pitch. That's kind of the most effective ratio. And a lot of people have agreed with him on that too. So just something to kind of keep in mind. Also, your reviews. So nobody's reviews are going to be perfect. There's always going to be someone that wasn't happy, whether something just went wrong, whether the customer is a little extra, whatever it is, right? There's always going to be something that goes wrong. Make sure that you respond in a professional and polite manner to the reviews, please. That's so very important. So very, very important. Make sure that you're keeping an eye on your reviews. Check them at least once a month. See what's going on. Make sure that you're aware of the external perception of your company. That's going to affect you in more ways than you can imagine. It's not just for customers, candidates care too. Okay. So these are very important things to keep in mind. Also, your community presence. Your community presence is going to be huge. So get out there and let people get to know you. Get out there and go to networking events, go to community events, go to festivals, all kinds of things, and just let people get to know you as a brand and as a human being. This will help you effectively grow your business in more ways than one. That's very, very important. I highly recommend finding at least one charity with whom to be heavily involved. Make sure that it's very visible in terms of, not that you need to brag. Let me be clear about that. It's not about bragging, but take a selfie of yourself at the event and go, hey, Titan Management is super stoked to be supporting Madison's Miracles this weekend, and post that. And it also gives a shout out to the charity and helps them out as well. So it just kind of lets everyone again know who you are, what you have going on, and that you are indeed involved in the community. It will also give you some great introductions. You'd be surprised. So that's kind of the basics of employer branding from a potential, for somebody who's planning to scale up, for somebody who needs to attract good candidates and the right kind of culture and the right kind of people. Okay. So that's kind of just 101. And again, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to me, or I am very happy to introduce you to a marketing professional as well. So the next thing is planning your scale up. Like, okay, I want to grow. Well, you need to plan. Do not just wing it. Trust me, it won't ever go well. This is something I've seen time and time again. I focus in my business on small business owners and on solopreneurs who are growing up their business to be larger than that. In fact, I took one client from having about 12 people up to having 57. And I've taken people from having 1 or 2 people up to having 40 plus people. So I know what that looks like. I've also worked with medium and large companies as well, but I really know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about these little guys, okay? It's very important to plan your scale up. So the first thing is, just because you're overwhelmed does not mean that you are ready to hire. And a lot of people go, what are you talking about? Of course I need to hire somebody. I'm so overwhelmed. Maybe not. Maybe you could get a couple of freelancers to help you out with a couple of tasks here and there, and then you're good for a while. You may not actually have a need for another employee. So here's the rule. If you're going to look for a part-time person, you want to have a minimum of 15 hours of planned work for them every week. And then, of course, additional things will come up. For a full-time person, you need to be able to calendar out a minimum of 30, don't estimate it. Really sit there and put pen to paper. 32 plus hours of actual grinding type work, okay, before you hire them. And then additional things will be added on as well, okay? That's crucial. Do not hire somebody before you can meet those requirements. I see this all the time, and it makes businesses fail. So please do not do that. Plan it out. The next thing is, can you afford to hire? Okay, just because you want to doesn't mean that you're there yet. And it is not an excuse. Being small is not an excuse to poorly pay someone. And guess what? Candidates know that now. They've gotten a lot of education during this pandemic when everybody was kind of in upheaval. There were a lot of people out there telling them this and teaching them this. They know better now. So even though before you could get away with it, and by the way, never do something just because you can get away with it, now you can't do that anyway. They know better. So if you cannot afford to pay in the ballpark of what this particular position should be making, you are not ready to hire. Get yourself some freelancers to help you out. Okay. So kind of what you want to look at, go on like salary.com, go on indeed.com, look at what the average salary is, both in your area for the type of position and also on a national level. Determine, can I hire remotely maybe for this position? Can I be, somewhere, does it have to be on site? Can it be partially remote? That type of thing. But just kind of look on there, get a feel for the salaries. You need to be within 10%, whatever that average salary is, or you're not going to get a quality employee. That's just how it works. Or you're going to get somebody who's just going to leave you a couple of months later because they find someone who actually knows what they're worth. It's just not worth it. Okay. So make sure that you plan out your budget to match that salary. And this is such a hard one because I know so many small businesses do kind of have the paycheck to paycheck feel, right? Okay, well, as long as this customer pays us, then we'll be okay. You don't want to do that when you're hiring somebody. Make sure, first of all, that you have at least 3 months salary already in the bank sitting there and that you have anticipated money coming in to cover them for at least a couple of months more before you bring them on. Because sometimes things will happen, but it's not right to get them, lay them off, and have that flip-flopping going on. So make sure that you have that financial stability before you bring someone on, okay? That's very, very important. The next thing that you're going to want to do is create your onboarding process. And I know that sounds kind of backwards. Do that before you do a job description, anything else, but it really matters. Stop and think, what is it going to be like to actually bring this person on? Do I have the time to train them? Do I need to get help training them? Is there some online training that I can do for them? And everybody needs training. Even if you hire somebody who has experience, they need to at least be trained in your ways, okay? So whether it's teaching someone start to finish what to do, or whether it's just, hey, this is how we do it, you do need to have a planned training that starts on day one. It's very, very important. Plan out the paperwork that they need. Look into that. Look into, is it appropriate to have 1099? Is it appropriate to have W-2? Let me put this out there, guys. You cannot make someone 1099 just because you feel like it, okay? I see this all the time, and it really has backfired on some businesses and cost them tens of thousands of dollars in fines. So please do not do that. It's also highly unethical because you're not allowed to just take away, the benefits and all that somebody might be entitled to as a W-2 just because you don't feel like it, okay? So look into, hey, should it be W-2 or 1099? What makes the most sense? What am I able to do? There are some services out there that are freaking fantastic for running payroll that keeps it real simple, makes your life real easy, quick to set up, quick to process, no big deal. Don't be so scared of W-2, guys. Just going to throw that out there. But go ahead and plan out everything, approximately how long everything will take, the cost of getting them up to speed, that kind of thing. Just be ready. Remember to create training materials like I did for this presentation, right? Create the materials. Give people something that they can reference in the future so that if they go, wait a minute, what was that they said? They can run back and look real quick without having to bother you later on down the road, okay? So just kind of keep some of those things in your mind. Think about your ramp up. Okay, when do I need X number of people, that type of thing, and really create a plan. And it really helps sometimes if you have kind of a visual aid. A lot of my clients find it helpful to actually have a physical document that shows the plan. That's very helpful for them, but that's not for everybody. Whatever suits your needs, but definitely plan it out either way. So that's pretty much it for the planning. The next thing is compensation. That's right. Before you ever go into this, compensation structure matters. And that's not just money. So we already talked about kind of the salary and how to go about that. So again, you go to salary.com, Indeed, things like that. Look for average salary, both on a national scale and also in your local area for the type of company, or the type of position, and don't limit to industry. or anything like that, because you might get somebody great from outside the industry, kind of get all the numbers and just kind of have them in your head. And again, be within 10% of that average. Be on the high side if you can. If you can't, that's okay, but at least within 10% of the average salary. But remember, compensation is more than just dollars. Now, you will also want to consider bonuses and commissions, of course. Have that planned out. Don't do TBD. Have a whole plan, be organized, and have it so that it's something that you know you can sustain for at least a 6 to 12 month period after they come on. Do not put something in place that you cannot sustain. That is not ethical, and it will not help you to go very far. You will have high turnover. So the additional items to consider is, A, are you having to pitch in benefits for them? Or do you want to pitch in benefits for them? And I've had a lot of little companies say, well, I'm too small to afford it. I can't afford it. There are some wonderful, wonderful alternatives out there. If you want, for instance, to present life insurance, vision, dental, things like that, you can go to a company like Aflac and get their help. They have some very affordable options that cost you literally nothing. All you get is a tax break. And then you can provide some benefits. You can provide a healthcare stipend. Say, you know what, I can only afford $150 a month, but I will give that to you every month, and you can put it towards whatever healthcare option you want to. On the market out there, guys, they can easily get a very affordable plan for $300 or less. So that's a very reasonable amount to pitch in, okay? At least for an individual. Now, if they have a family and all that, that gets, but for a little company, do the best you can. Whatever you can afford, just go ahead and come up with something, put it together. Plan out the PTO. That counts in there too. Paid holidays, all of that. Right now, I highly recommend that for any position, you have at least 2 weeks. For any lower level position, below management, at least 2 weeks of vacation. For anything over that, you're going to want to have 3 weeks plus. Trust me, that's just how the market is right now. Okay. So have a good PTO plan. That's not counting paid holidays. Paid holidays are a whole other thing. So make sure that you are considering those things when you're looking at compensation. Also, another big thing with compensation is fringe benefits. So do you buy them lunch every day? Do you give them a gas card? Do you give them paid travel? Do you give them a paid phone? These types of things can also be considered in the compensation plan. And I want to be clear, these additional benefits do not substitute salary, okay? Salary still matters. You still have to be within that 10% mark. Trust me, nobody's going to take nobody reasonable anyway is going to take a ridiculous salary cut for the potential of a bunch of other things. That's not how that works. So make sure that your salary is on point, at least within that 10% range, and then consider all of these other benefits. It will really make a difference. And the more benefits you can offer, even if it's more fringe benefits than actual like health benefits and things like that, it will really help you to attract quality candidates. And for some people, things like travel matter most. For some people, health benefits matter most. For some, bonus potential matters most. So you can also have options and say, hey, would you prefer bonuses and commission? Would you prefer full-on health benefits paid fully by the company? Would you prefer paid travel, paid phone, lunches, whatever else you come up with? What do you prefer? That is something that in most states is allowed. Now, there are some states where it's not, so please look up the laws for your current area, because in some areas you have to offer exact same to every single person. So check the laws, but if you are eligible to be flexible, that's an excellent option as well. So then we have the job description. So let's say you're going, okay, I know I need 2 full-time, 1 part-time. I am ready to go. And I'm ready to do it I'm ready to hire within the next 60 days. Great. Now you've got to make an effective job description. This one is something that cracks me up all the time because I see so many HR professionals and recruiters that are horrible at making job descriptions. And I do mean horrible. I have seen some pretty darn bad ones out there. So I'm going to kind of run you through very simply how to create an effective and visually appealing and inclusive job description. So you're thinking, I know I hear a lot of people go, oh, not anymore about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I can't deal with it. It really does matter. It really, really does. And here's why. Okay. Number one, it affects your bottom line. There have been multiple studies, including by Boston Consulting Group, that show that you have a 19% or more increase in revenue by considering true diversity. And what that means is different personality types, different backgrounds, different ages, different religions, different genders, races, all it's everything. It's literally everything. Personality type, communication style, everything. So by considering true diversity, you get a 19% or higher increase in revenue. It increases innovation. It increases creativity. It increases your candidate base. You're going to get more people by making sure that you are being inclusive. And inclusive just means that you are making very sure that there is no bias anywhere and that you want to look for difference. You want different. I kind of touched on this earlier. You don't want carbon copies of the same thing. It will not be effective for you. Okay? I'm one of the best employees I ever knew. My husband is one of the best employees I've ever seen. Phenomenal, phenomenal. My husband could get 3 days work done in half a day. It's incredible. You don't want a whole bunch of him, trust me, because he has other shortcomings. So you need different types of people coming in to make your business work effectively. That also reaches out and touches your client base in a whole different way, because again, you're going to have a very diverse client base, right? So you want to get all different kinds of people, not 10 of the same thing, all different kinds. So consider with everybody coming in and with every job posted, kind of the global aspect of it, right? Kind of okay, I'm looking at all these different, clients, and here's all the potential types of people. And I need people that can be my client. I need people that can understand them, that can relate to them in all different ways, or somebody who can help me in this way with my product, or help me in this way with my communication. So make sure that everything you're doing is geared towards a more global candidate base. That's really what true diversity is about, is creating a global candidate base so that you're not limiting yourself. And especially right now, when over 69% of candidates are saying that they care about diversity, you need to be inclusive, okay? And that means something different to everybody, but keep that global candidate base in mind and you'll be good. It's that simple, easy peasy. So creating the job description. First, you need to get people excited. It's almost like a sales pitch, right? In a short paragraph, and I mean no more than like 4 sentences or so. Don't drone on and on about yourself. Nobody wants somebody who only talks about themselves, right? So, or who drones. So 1 paragraph, short, 4 sentences or so max. Go ahead and describe who you are, show some excitement, go something. And I like to actually start with a one-liner first and then go into my company description. For me, I'll post something like, would you love to work in a animal-friendly, oh gosh, I just blanked out. I don't know. But so an animal-friendly position that allows travel and promotion within 6 months. This could be the job for you, or whatever your differentiators are, whatever would get people excited about working with you. Go ahead and put that first. That's my personal opinion. But in general, make sure that first paragraph tells about you and your company, something exciting about you, something nice about you. Just put it up there. You don't have to have the sales pitch. That's just my personal style. But the first paragraph should be about you. So start there. Then add a brief description of what you want the position to do. Okay. Add a little just kind of 2-sentence summary, and keep the sentences short. Don't make them like the run-on sentences that just go on and on and on and on and on. Don't do that. Okay. Then you're going to want the responsibilities listed. Okay. And don't call them something weird. I hear so many like key accountabilities. That makes so many candidates roll their eyes. And I've actually spoken to dozens of people who tell me they'll click and go to the next job description. So be very, very careful with that. Don't use kind of obscure terminology. Use something like responsibilities or description, something that's just very common. So go ahead and just list out the descriptions. Put the most important aspects of the job at the top, the things that they just really need to know is going to go on. Kind of go from there. The things that are going to take the longest for them should be up at the top. Things that are occasionally done and not that big of a deal, way down at the bottom. Don't drone on and on with this either, please. Keep it reasonable. I like to keep it at 10 bullet points or less. Okay, just very, very brief, knock it out. Then you have the responsibility section. And I want to highlight that these two are not interchangeable. And I am constantly seeing job descriptions that have responsibilities in the description. Excuse me, have requirements in the responsibility section. Those things are not one and the same, okay? Responsibilities is what they're actually doing every day. Requirements is what you need them to have to do the job, right? So make sure that those two things are differentiated. So requirements on top, try to keep it at about 10 bullet points or less. Then you're going to have the requirements. Start with the absolute positive, must have, non-negotiable, you need this. And put must, and I recommend bolding it. That way they get it. Gotta have this, no questions asked. Don't be rude about it. Just say must have XYZ. Now, I want to encourage you on something here. A lot of people make the mistake of saying, I need this many years of experience. No, you don't. No, there's literally no reason for that. Somebody could be doing a job for 10 years and stink out loud. Somebody else could have done the job for 1 year and be a genius at it. What you need is a certain level of expertise. So what I recommend is saying, must be an expert at XYZ, must have strong working knowledge of XYZ. Far more effective than number of years. Trust me on this. I have seen that mistake made multiple times because you're going to lose a lot of candidates that go, well, I don't have 10 years, I only have 7, or I don't have 5 years, I only have 3. Oh, well, and they were the perfect candidate. They were just really amazing. So don't do that to yourself. But so you start with the must-haves, right? Then you go down to the, it'd be really great if you had this, but I could wiggle on it kind of thing. So you don't have to worry about like that. Just put out there what you want them to have. They'll get the point. And then do a nice to have section. Like, it'd be great if you had this, maybe separate that out, say, preferred qualifications or things like that. I personally like to put requirements, and that's only the must-haves, and then do preferred qualifications. That's just a personal preference, entirely up to you. So end with those nice to haves and then put compensation. Yes, you need to put compensation on your job description. Nobody's buying this TBD nonsense anymore, okay? At least a range. And you're thinking to yourself, well, they're always going to want the top of the range. No, they're not. I interview people all day, every day, and people will tell me the bottom of the range. They'll tell me below my range for their preferred salary. Don't pay people below your range, by the way. That's tacky. But go ahead and just put your range for the position or your flat salary amount. Just say, this is what we're paying. Non-negotiable, here it is. There you go. Don't say it that way, obviously, but just put the straight dollar amount, and that's fine. Talk in the compensation section, talk about your benefits, talk about any bonus and commission. You don't have to get specific with bonus and commission. You can just say bonus and commission. And if it's going to be double or more or a significant amount over the salary, you might want to specify estimated total compensation. That can be helpful. It can also be kind of tricky. That's a personal preference issue. Some states, again, also don't allow that. So check your state regulations before you do that. And then list the benefits and the PTO and that type of thing. That's very, very important. You also need to have a diversity statement of some kind, whether it's that you just want to be very straightforward and just say, hey, we follow EEOC and ADA guidelines. Great. Which is the Equal Opportunity Commission and the Americans with Disabilities Act, by the way. That's what those two abbreviations mean. You can be that bland about it, or you can write a wholesome, wonderful, heartfelt diversity statement, put that out there. That will actually go really far. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I like to put information like that at the top. Again, personal preference. The bottom is perfectly acceptable and is actually a lot more common. So whatever makes you comfortable. But that's how you make an effective job description. So you're kind of getting there, you're working through all that. So then you have to look at hiring the person, not the wrapping. That's what we were talking about earlier, the global aspect, right? Just creating a global candidate pool. So as you go into hiring, make sure to check your biases. And we all get them, guys. They're perfectly natural, actually. Our brains are designed to create biases so that we will be protected, but sometimes the wrong kind of biases get in there and they're actually detrimental. So just go through and go, oh, that's a weird feeling that I just had. Not going to do that anymore. That's not cool. And just kind of go through and remember to, in your mind, only think about the possibilities of your candidates. Don't actually picture the candidate in your mind, because that will create biases. So think, I just want a candidate that can help me grow the business, or I just want a candidate that can help further my technology to places I never thought of it. Keep it very global, because that will help you avoid accidentally discriminating. Okay. So very, very simple. I'm not gonna harp on that. Feel free to look at the notes that I provided for additional information about potential discrimination and all of that. Oh, another big one, guys. It is a big no-no right now to require a U.S. citizen. Okay. Now, what you can say is U.S. citizen, green card holder, or OPT. If you basically just don't want visa sponsorship, you can say, I just don't care for visa sponsorship. Don't say it. You just say, no visa sponsorship offered is the way that you word that. No visa sponsorship offered. That's perfectly acceptable. You will still occasionally get people that apply, but do not put U.S. citizen only. That is something that is really rubbing wrong, can actually get you sued right now. So be very, very careful with that. Agree or not agree, up to you. That's your prerogative, but I'm just telling you, don't do it. It's not a good look. So then you're to the fun part. This is my jam, the actual getting the candidates in the door, right? This is what I love doing. I'm going to give you a few kind of basic recruiter tips on this. I know a lot of recruiters out there will be going, why are you doing this? Don't tell these people this stuff. But I want to help you out. So I'm going to run you through it. So passive sourcing is when you just put out a job description and go, I'll get somebody, right? Or if you put a post on LinkedIn or Facebook, I'll get somebody. That's passive, okay? Even just kind of generally letting people know that you're looking for someone, that's still considered passive. Active, however, which is what I believe every entrepreneur should be about their hiring, is getting out there and digging and finding somebody. And it's actually super fun. Almost everyone that I've taught to do this loved it. The rest of them at least appreciated the process. So you're going to want to start by building up a kind of a momentum, right? And kind of getting that energy. So start by posting. You need to post your job somewhere. So if you have an applicant tracking system, that will take care of it. If not, I recommend Indeed. That's kind of the biggest job board right now. Second to that would be like a career builder, probably. After that would be Monster, and all, trickles down from there. ZipRecruiter, a lot of candidates aren't liking it these days. I really don't recommend using ZipRecruiter. If it's just free with your applicant tracking system, that's fine, but don't spend a lot of time with it. Facebook can be really good for certain types of positions, especially manual labor, customer service, clerical, that type of thing. Facebook is great, and it's free. Yay, Facebook. We really appreciate that. LinkedIn is fantastic for professional jobs, not really for anything else, but for highly professional jobs, LinkedIn is spot on. So just kind of some tips on posting, but on the active sourcing, get that energy up. Get that energy up. So a few ideas, and I'm going to kind of go off script from what we have on the notes, but you can go ahead and check out the notes as well. My newest recommendation to people is make a video about the job, whether you use something like Biteable, that is a $15 a month resource to make little creative videos, and they have clips and stuff in there. It's super, super easy for you. Kind of just drag and click kind of situation, kind of layout, and make some videos about the company and the position and with exciting music, and post some things like that. Get the energy up. Go out and find some groups on Facebook and LinkedIn that you can reach out to and potentially find some candidates. Be careful. Some of them will kick you out for that. Some won't. Some are actually designed to help people find jobs. So just find the right ones. Get on Indeed and get a resume subscription. Big tip. Learn how to search effectively on Indeed or LinkedIn or any of those. The Boolean searching that you can do, the notes are in the paper that I gave you. Highly, highly effective. Okay. So use or, and not. Always capitalize your commands. Use parentheses to group. Use quotations to get exact wording. Again, the tips are in the training materials provided. They will perfectly explain it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, but use that to really narrow down exactly what you want to get and change up your searches. But when you get that Indeed resume subscription, which is, I believe it starts at $100. $100, but you get a very good amount of contacts with that. You can definitely reach out, find great people that are looking, and get some great candidates in that way. And you'll get better quality people doing that than just posting the ad. In my personal experience, I have a 72% higher success rate with active sourcing than with any sort of passive, even at just posting to groups and Facebook and things like that. I get the vast majority of my high quality candidates from active sourcing. Very, very important to know. And actually, a lot of my other ones still come from referrals. So don't think that the 28% of my people come from just posting jobs. I get a lot of referrals because of what I do. So that's another high percentage of my candidates. So make sure that you are active sourcing as well. Get out there and dig. You can Boolean search on LinkedIn and find the right people. Create a nice message. Don't be creepy. All right, I want to just put that out there. Don't start with hello when you connect with somebody, but you can reach out to them. You don't need LinkedIn Recruiter. I want to throw that on out there. Get the premium subscription that allows you a couple of emails and gives you better search options and better results options. I think it is $55 a month, something like that. And you can do that same searching on there, message a whole bunch of people and get some phenomenal candidates that way. Now, it is a bit time consuming, especially when you're new to it. But if you take a couple hours for over the span of a couple of days and just really dig in, I promise you will get some key results. And I highly, highly, highly recommend doing that because, again, you'll get much better people. You can also get passive candidates that way. And a passive candidate is someone who's not looking for a job. And those sometimes are some of the best people. So you can have a lot, and they're not desperate, anything like that. You're just going to get kind of a whole different experience with them. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that active sourcing. Very, very important. The next, and job fairs. Go to job fairs. Again, networking. Go out and network and tell people you're looking. Go, hey, I'm so-and-so, and this is what I got going on. By the way, I'm hiring. Do you happen to know anybody? You can get lots of referrals that way, especially for hourly type jobs. I know that's a big pain point right now. That's a wonderful way to do it, is network, 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 network. Also hiring events. That's a whole other shebang. You can feel free to reach out to me about that. I do specialize in hiring events. I've hired up to 257 people in 2 days for a hiring event. I did have more than just myself working it, but I ran it. So I do know all about hire events. So if you want some additional information, feel free to reach out to me about hire events, but mass hire events are highly effective, where you advertise an active source and drive people in for just an event over a day or 2 or 3 days. It really is highly effective, especially for hourly type positions. So then the interview process. And by the way, that's part of what you need to set up before you start hiring. I don't remember if I touched on that or not, but you need to, when you're considering your onboarding process, consider the interview process as well. How many interviews, how long? Interviews should never be a few hours long unless you're interviewing a high-level executive. Okay? Not a thing. Do not sit there and interview your potential secretary or your potential customer service person for 2.5 hours. That is clinically insane. And you're going to lose candidates and you're going to come across like a wacko. Please don't do that. And by the way, candidates will leave reviews too, not just employees. Candidates will get on Indeed and Glassdoor and they will leave reviews too. So be very, very careful when you're going through a hire process to be courteous to candidates as well. So with your interview process, don't be scripted. Okay, never, 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 never look up the top 20 best interview questions and ask those. First of all, they're usually ridiculous. Second of all, you're going to sound like that scripted sales guy that calls you that no one likes. Don't do that, okay? Don't do it. Create your own interview criteria, your process, and keep it consistent. Everyone should be having basically the same interview process. Now, obviously, conversations are going to change a little bit based on their answers and things like that. So again, don't be weird and be scripted, but have the same basic structure to your interview. Here's how I start mine. I start off by telling them about the company and about the position. I ask them if they have any questions. I ask them if that sounds like a position that would work out for them. Go through all that. If they ask about compensation, I tell them, I will address that at the end, I promise. I want to kind of get through all this. Or you can answer it at the front. Entirely up to you. That's a personal preference matter. But I start off with that information. Then the next thing out of my mouth, and it's been the best question I ever came up with, is tell me what's important to you in your next position. Sip it. Don't talk. Be quiet. This part is not for you. Nobody wants to hear somebody that goes on and on and on and on and on, right? Even that first part that's about the company and about the position, 2 minutes. There's nothing you need to say. That is good. 2 minutes. They get it, okay? They already read the job description. They get it. 2 minutes at the beginning. And then the next part, just ask them questions. Ask them questions about that will tell you how they think, not those weird behavioral questions that are like, what would you do if you saw Sally steal $5 out of the cash register? First of all, anyone with half a brain is going to just lie and tell you whatever you want to hear, right? They're just, don't do that. And don't give personality tests either. They don't work very well. There are a few out there that are decent. If you want a recommendation, reach out to me, but I don't recommend them overall. But ask things that will tell you how they really think. Ask them about their experiences and how, tell me, walk me through a day in your current job. Walk me through this project and make it, that they did, and have them walk you through it. Hear how they think, how they process. Take them through, oh, that's really wonderful. That's something that we're looking for. Tell me about that. Or, okay, well, let's talk about that. That might be a little bit of a concern, and just hash it out with them, because sometimes things that you think are a concern are not really. So just hash it out right then and there and go, okay, yeah, that's interesting. Let's talk about that for a minute and just kind of figure out if it's a no-go. Because here's the thing. If it is a no-go, you're done. You don't waste any more of your time. But if it's something that could be resolved, great. Now you still have a candidate and you're still rocking and rolling. And again, don't be afraid of difference. Just look for red flags. With somebody curt with a customer, were they lazy? They constantly go asking for help instead of looking for resources themselves. These kinds of things can be red flags. So focus on looking for things like that, not just differences. Communication styles, all of that kind of thing. Okay, focus on that. Make sure that you are welcoming to everybody, whether it is phone, whether it is in person. Be welcoming, smile, make them feel relaxed. I want to put this out there, guys, because a lot of hiring managers, entrepreneurs, business owners, they don't realize this. It is not someone's job that's coming and applying with you to be good at interviewing, unless they are HR or recruiter. It is your job to be good at interviewing and to help them to feel comfortable and to help them bring their true selves out. So if someone is shy, if somebody is nervous beyond belief, because maybe they've been looking for 6 months and they're just exhausted, help them out, make them laugh, be personable, humanize yourself a little bit. Go, oh my God, I'm sorry, I'm 5 minutes late. It's been a crazy day. I bet you know how that is. Just get them going. Let them feel comfortable. Make them, again, smile and laugh. Laughter will get people to open up to you more than just about any other tool in the trade. It works for me all the time. And people go, oh, well, if they can't just sell themselves, I don't want them. Unless you're hiring a salesperson, that is the worst attitude I've ever heard. Don't do that. Again, it is not their job to be great at interviewing. It's yours. That is your job. So help them relax. Help them bring out that personality. Some of the candidates that I've taken that time with ended up being the best hires that I ever gave to my clients or that I ever made myself. So I highly encourage you to take that time. Feel free to reach out to me for additional tips on that. I'm glad to help out. So then let them know the next steps at the end. And if you don't want to hire them, don't lead them on. If you're seriously uncomfortable telling them that into face-to-face, say, I will have feedback for you by the end of the day. As soon as they walk out the door, send them that email and let them know, sorry. Give them specific feedback. Once you've spoken to someone, you owe them that. You don't owe them that if you just saw their resume. You can just send a candid, rejection email, which any applicant tracking system will store for you. No big deal. That's fine. And by the way, applicant tracking systems, there are all kinds of options out there, free ones like Zoho, things like that are not the best, features and all that, but it'll get you by. I highly recommend everyone have one. There are upgraded ones. I have one, of course. There are others as well that are really fantastic. Mine is Titan ATS. There's Jazz HR. There's some other really, really fantastic ones. Feel free to look out there and find you a good one. But your applicant tracking system can store candid rejection emails. But once you've spoken to someone, you owe them real feedback. So let them know why they weren't hired. Be nice, be courteous, be polite, but let them know. Let them know what's up. If you are interested in them, tell them, okay, so the second interview will look like this. I will get back to you by this date. Make sure that you do. Put a reminder on your calendar. and follow through it. Let them know the whole process and what to expect. That's really, really important, whether it's phone or in person. That is crucial. It's a crucial step because otherwise you will lose people. Trust me, it happens. And you want to move quickly. Okay, well, I'll get back to you in a week, 2 weeks, you're going to lose them. I just had a client make me wait 2 days and we lost a great candidate. 2 days. So be very, very careful. Have a quick interview process. Okay. The next thing is to thank them. Say, thank you for coming in. Thank you for giving us your time. We're really excited to have spoken to you. Even if you don't give them the job, tell them what you did like about them as they're leaving. It's a great boost and it will really help them out. So let's say you get through all that, you find your person, then it's the onboarding. So make sure you get an offer to them in writing ASAP. Give them the verbal, go ahead and call them and say, hey, we're so excited. We want to offer you the job. Here's what we're offering. I'm going to send you an offer letter. I recommend sending an e-sign because that way they can get it back to you a lot quicker. A lot of people don't have printers in their homes and things like that. So it's a lot easier for them if you just go ahead and send an e-sign. I highly recommend that, but if not, PDF will do. Do not send it Word, PDF or e-sign. So send them an offer letter that has their name, some kind of other identifying information about them, like city and state, address, email, something. Talk about salary, talk about compensation, start date, dress code, benefits, when everything kicks in, their training, who their contact is, their first day. All of that information should be in the offer letter. I've given some very specific details in your study materials. So I highly recommend that you kind of go through those, check it out. Give them a start date that is reasonable for both of you. Okay. Don't be too picky. Don't be a little flexible with them maybe. Like if they told you they could start ASAP, but they asked for a week out, there's probably a reason that they're asking for that. If it's at all feasible for you, do that for them. Always allow people to give 2 weeks notice to a current job. It's tacky not to do it. I know you're really rushed with your hiring. I understand completely, but you would want that courtesy. So please allow them to extend it to previous employers. You can also lose a candidate by not allowing them to extend that courtesy. Once that offer letter is signed, check in with them before they start, unless it's the next day, and that'd be kind of weird, right? But show excitement, say, we're so excited to have you on board. Welcome aboard. This is fantastic. Yada, yada. This is something we really like about you. Can't wait to see that in action. And touch base. Let's say they're starting 3 weeks out, at least once a week. Touch base with them. Make sure they're getting back to you. This will also help keep you from getting ghosted and getting surprised that they don't show up on their start date, which does occasionally happen. Even with a good candidate, I've seen it happen. It just does. So those touch points will help you, and it helps get them excited, helps them feel welcomed, and it helps attach them to you, which is what you want. Get them any training materials ahead of time that you feel appropriate. Any paperwork you can send them ahead of time is great. Like go ahead and get them their W-2 form and their contract or their non-disclosure agreement or whatever else you could possibly send them ahead of time. Go ahead and do that. Get that step out of the way. Again, it also attaches them to you. It feels like a real job now. Gets them ramped up. Tell them any news that's going on with your company. How exciting this is or that is. Work on that. The day that they start, make sure you have all their materials ready for them, laptop or computer, desk, anything like that. Make sure their training is set up, introduce them to the team, get them pumped up, and make sure to sit down and have an expectations talk with them right off the bat. And in a positive way, say, hey, this is what we brought you here to do. Let's set some goals. Let's do that together. Set those goals, give specific dates, and then have touch points. Hey, how's that going? What's going on with that? How can we help you? Help them get acclimated. Just really work through that. So the conclusion of all this is guys, be organized. Okay. The biggest mistake that small companies make is that they're just pandemonium, which I get, right? That's kind of the joy that we get to experience as entrepreneurs and solopreneurs is the pandemonium. And it's wonderful and it's exciting and it's chaos and it's brilliancy. And I get it. But when it comes to growing your business and getting the right people in the door, nothing is more important than focusing that and putting a lot of effort into that and organizing it. Trust me. And if you need additional help with that, please reach out to me. I've given some tips in the workbook, but please, please, please reach out to me if you want some additional tips. I'm always glad to help you. But that's basically it. So remember, be global about your search and your mentality when it comes to looking, be organized, and make sure that you have the right tools in place. Oh, and your budget. Never forget the budget. So that's basically it, you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions, and best of luck to you in your scale up.